So Matt, I am so excited about today. I mean, we are both blessed that we get to drive all sorts of different cars. An M car test is great, and a classic M car test is even more fun because we get to revisit the cars that we might not have been able to drive at the time, but are so often talked about.
Absolutely.
One of the most talked about is this E30 M3.
So what we are trying to do is decide what is the best BMW M car of all time.
Of all time, yeah, that's a big... They've made some fantastic cars.
They've made some amazing cars. Have we got the best three BMW M cars here? Because we've got the E30, which you have to have.
You have to have, yeah. It's the original, basically.
Yeah. And then we've got an M3 CSL from 2003?
Yes,
or thereabouts.
exactly thereabouts,
which is... Actually, you were saying that's the car that I have missed pretty much completely. I was working in this business then, but I did not drive it at the time, so I'm really intrigued about that.
I was fortunate enough to go out to Germany and bring the very first M3 CSL back to the UK. So I flew out to Germany. They gave me the keys to the car and they said, get it back to London pretty much as quickly as you can.
Superb.
That was an amazing day for me.
And then we're going to bookend it all with the BMW M2 competition, which is a car we know pretty well.
Yes.
And we've driven several times before in other features and other videos.
Yes.
If you like those videos, if you like this video, please up thumb, subscribe. If you turn on notifications, you will never miss one.
I think M3 GTS, so the V8, the E90 version, that's a fantastic car.
Yeah.
I love the M4 GTS.
I know what you're going to say, so do I.
I think that's a great car. And that reminds me...
So many people hate that car, and I think it's just, on the right conditions, it's just superb.
I agree. That reminds me very much, actually, of the CSL, but up 50% in terms of horsepower, and its basic dynamics are quite similar, I think.
Yeah. So we're missing M5s.
Yep.
I haven't driven early six-cylinder ones, you have.
I have, yeah. E34 I wasn't blown away by. I love the F10 competition pack M5. That's a great car.
Yeah, but they're heavy by that stage.
They're heavy, yeah. The V10 M5 was great, but I think there's so many things that...
That gearbox is...
The
range is too short. It's just... Yeah. And the other ones are sort of the V8, 400 horsepower V8, I don't know what.
E39.
E39, thank you.
Great engine.
Yeah, great engine. Sort of a brilliant cruising machine, but not... Yeah. I don't know, didn't excite me like these. And we don't have the M1, which is a sensational supercar. Have you driven the M1?
I've driven the M1, great thing.
Yeah, it's a great thing, but it doesn't feel in spirit like an M car. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, definitely. I'll tell you why, for me it doesn't, because M cars, what BMW have done so well with M cars is they can do everything. We've got 4 seats, this is nice and soft when you're cruising, but when you turn the wick up a bit, they are fantastic. You know, they haven't all been great at everything. So, you know, some of them have been better cruisers and some of them have been better sort of out-and-out sports cars, but they've all been able to do at least one of those two things. Yeah. You know, the ones that aren't great cruisers are fantastic sports cars, and the ones that aren't, that maybe missed out on being fantastic sports cars are just really cool everyday cars. Yeah. E46 M3 was probably the most disappointing to me.
See, I didn't drive.
That was probably the most disappointing to me, the E46 M3. The Evo was better, and BMW realised that because they addressed it by giving it a bit more horsepower, sharpening the chassis. But that was probably the most disappointing M car to me, the E46. And I spent quite a lot of time on one of those as well. So. Yeah.
All right, well, let's start. Yeah. Let's start here.
Okay.
I really like this car.
I love this car.
I think it's terrific. And what you're reminded of is how brilliant the visibility is in old cars.
Yep.
How compact it feels.
Yep.
And it kind of feels like the car that defined, for most people of a certain generation, what an M car ought to be.
Yeah, ought to be, exactly.
And I do wonder if there's a little bit of sort of Peugeot 205 GTI syndrome, where all subsequent fast BMWs are kind of judged by the standards of this, and then not this. If you get in a modern M car, it's not generally like this, is it? This is really lovely. I mean, it steers beautifully. It feels light. It feels agile. You know, it was built to homologate a racing car, wasn't it? But it's not a racing car in any sense.
I mean, it's soft. My first driving impression of it was how soft it was. Yeah. And on the reverse of what you say, I think anyone who's not driven one of these would expect it to feel like the M2 competition pack does now. Yeah. So I think if we've grown up, I've grown up watching these things on telly, seeing the posters, seeing them dressed up in their touring car livery, and expecting some kind of fire-breathing monster. But actually, that couldn't be further from the truth of this car.
No, exactly. No. It's just so delicate, isn't it? In a way, the gearbox is really terrific. Actually, I really like that. And as it turns, it just settles into a normal, neutral balance, doesn't it? You know, it's got that sort of slight. It's a lot of roll by modern standards, inevitably.
But that gives you plenty of feedback. You know what's coming. You know? It's not going to. It doesn't just transition into a slide.
No,
you
exactly.
get plenty of, it telegraphs what's happening. You know, it starts to roll, and I can feel it from the passenger seat. I haven't even got my hands on the contact patch, and I can feel the grip.
You can feel where the balance is going.
Yeah,
and it's a very delicate thing as it goes in and out of neutral and oversteer and understeer. You know, that's the balance I really like. It's front engine, rear wheel drive, limited slip differential, manual gearbox. That for a driver's car is definitely absolutely spot on.
And this is really one of those cars that gives rewards back what you put in. So the engine, you know, it's pretty ordinary below sort of 3,500, 4,000, but once you rev it out, it's really crisp and it just loves to rev, and it begs you to rev. It's really, this car is absolutely operating at its best when you're driving the little Calo Salvo, I think.
Like you say, it does do everything, doesn't it? Because actually, on the road, it's really comfortable.
Really comfortable.
Click it in fifth, we're doing 80 miles an hour and it's 3,500 revs. Part of the thing with cars engineered in Germany is they do tend to be seriously good at high speed cruising, because that's part of the development process. You know, it's sitting on the autobahn at really high speeds.
I mean, this just feels beautiful. You know,
it's really nice.
I can feel as you come on off the throttle. I can feel the weight transfer. I can feel it from here.
It's a really old-fashioned, not old-fashioned, old school, but not old-fashioned, delicate way of doing things, and I just really like that. You know, the contact patches are small, the wheels aren't that big, but it's just engaging at sensible, normal speeds, but so engaging as well, isn't it? It's really
what a great basis for a saloon racing car.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally.
So Matt, we jumped from the E30 into this E46 CSL.
And this is the very car you drove back from Germany?
This is the car I drove back from Germany. So I've got a bit of a history with the CSL. Back in 2003, I had a phone call to say, look, we need a car actually for an autocar shoot. Can you come out? Yeah, can you fly out? Yeah. Pick one up and drive it back. And so all my Christmases had kind of come at once on that day. Yeah. So from that day on, it's been one of my favourite M cars. So the E30 was, because it was so early, it didn't have any adjustments to it. You know, you got in, and BMW, that was it basically. You know, you had what BMW had, and you may do the best with it as BMW did. This thing's got a few adjustments on it, so you can put it into sport mode, which I'm going to do now. You can turn the ferocity of the gearbox up. Yeah. Oh, listen to that noise. You can turn ESP off.
As you have done.
As I have done.
That sound
is
really special.
Fantastic. And again, can you feel the balance? It just kind of, it's not super stiff. It gives
There's
you
quite
so
a lot of
much
roll, isn't there?
Exactly.
A reasonable amount of roll. What because what you don't get is anywhere really to
hold on.
To hold on, because I've got this carbon fibre door insert. Yeah. Fixed bucket seats.
Right, it's lovely. It's really good, isn't it? It's absolutely lovely. And again, it just feels so delicate.
So without everything, this weighs what, 1310, is that right? Without aircon and stereo and stuff like that.
It was like, so the problem with this car, I think when it was launched, is it had mixed reviews. BMW said it was a GT3 rival. It was £20,000 more expensive than the basic car, which was already good.
So it's what, 60 grand?
Yeah, 58 basically. And from what at the time people could see, you know, they wondered where their £20,000 went. So this has got 360 horsepower compared to the 343 of the basic car. Yeah. Different gearbox software, aluminium bonnet, these amazing seats, different suspension setup, bigger brakes. So it was quite heavily reworked.
Sensational wheels and tyres.
Sensational wheels. It came on Cup 2 tyres. Yeah. The BMW kind of warned you about. They said, you know, you've got to be really careful with these tyres and the wet there. Oh, listen to that. And it comes with that amazing engine though.
That is just phenomenal. But it's not a homologation special, is it? No, it's just because they wanted to do it. Yeah.
I mean, it is absolutely
I do hate being a passenger most of the time, but with you, it's usually okay.
I'm just playing with it because it's just so fun. The gearbox is horrendous, I have to say. Could
you only get the SMG?
SMG.
Such a shame.
So adjustable.
It's such a shame.
Look at that, it's just so easy.
Mate, as somebody once said in the comments, how on earth can he drive properly when he lies so far back?
It's so forgiving as well. It's got a little bit of understeer, but it's reassuring understeer.
Yeah, and it's front engine.
It's front engine.
It should have really. And it's a road car. It should have a tiny bit of stabilising understeer.
Exactly, yeah.
Trail the brakes through it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
That's amazing.
It is a really. I love these seats as well. So
I do as well. I do.
And they're fixed back, but they're absolutely fine. I think they're Recaro pole positions covered. And these seats also end up in. So if you get an M3 GTS, they're in that. They're in the current M4 GTS, but a bigger size. Oh, okay. So they've retained these seats and they've just dressed them up slightly differently. Yeah. But it's that, listen to that, I'm going to slow down a bit, just so I can hear it rev, listen to that induction roll. So you did not get this in the standard M3, and you don't get it in any M car up to this day.
No.
This is the best sounding M car they've ever made as far as I'm concerned.
I think that is totally true. I reckon the only M engine that sounds better than this is in a McLaren F1.
Of course, yeah, because that was
but
two.
Other than that, because that's two. I mean, it's not two of these, but it is two.
Two E46
It's two 6-cylinders, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's just so adjustable. Even if I'm turning on the brakes, look, in goes the nose.
Yeah.
Little lift. Oh, I'm not going to go crazy. It's an old car, so I'm going to be a bit delicate with it, but early on the power.
Yeah.
Mate,
it is
absolutely beautiful, yeah.
And it's that, for me, the engine is going through sort of 4 or 5,000. That's just when it's
a sweet spot.
And it's absolute.
But it just feels like it wants to, it wants to rev, and the throttle response is lovely as well. If I can get BMW to recreate anything, for me, it'd probably be this, actually. Even over the E30. So if you said to me, give BMW any spec that you want to recreate the perfect M car, I think I'd have more of this in it than the E30.
This in it than the E30.
Definitely, yeah. Okay, what would you have from the E30?
From an E30, I would have the compactness.
Yep. Okay.
I would have some of the lightness, and I would have a manual gearbox. Not necessarily that manual gearbox, but a manual gearbox.
I'll definitely have that gearbox off you.
Yeah.
Because this gearbox is frankly horrendous.
It's really poor, isn't it? The difference between this being a brilliant M car and almost one of the best cars in the world is probably that gearbox.
I agree.
Because I love the brake pedal feel in this, and the reassurance and all the control weights are spot on. There's loads I would have from in here. Loads I'd have from in here. Like, I mean, I'm a sucker for light cars that you can see out of really easily.
But this isn't heavy, bear in mind.
No, true. It's only
kilos.
So it's about 100 kilos heavier than an E30.
Yeah,
it's not a lot, is it?
So,
it's quite a lot bigger.
Yeah, it's got a lot more power. I love the sound. I love that induction noise. It's absolutely beautiful. And again, you're right. The brakes feel fantastic. Again, there was a lot of time at the time I read about the brakes not being up to scratch, but from my
I think they're spot on. Certainly on the road.
Yeah, the brakes were fine for what was done there. I love the extra speed that this thing's got.
Yeah.
I love the noise.
And you have to. It's not like it suddenly surprises you, is it? Because it goes to what 7.9. So you've really got to.
Exactly. Yeah.
You've got to want it to get it.
And max power's right up that at 7.9 as well, I think.
Yeah.
So we were saying earlier, you won't just find yourself doing 120 miles an hour.
No,
you've got to work for that 120. But when you do work for it, the rewards are just fantastic.
Yeah.
And again, just now as we're cruising, it's beautifully damped.
Yeah.
It's quiet. We can have a chat.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing.
So the extra so it's what 1,300 kilos for 360 horsepower, which I think is quite a nice blend for the road.
Exactly. Yeah. So 60 was like 4.5 seconds. It's quick by any standards, even by today's standards,
Yeah. Well, let's see what the modern interpretation is.
This is as good as I remember.
Right, and so then to the final car. My only thing is, should we have had this, or should we have had a 1M coupe? 1M coupe.
This is probably the best representation of where BMW are at now. So
I think it's fair from that point of view. And actually, I like this almost as much, if not as much as I like the 1M coupe.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think this is just an M coupe moved on a bit. It's got a bit more power. Yeah. It's got a bit more of everything than 1M coupe. No manual gearbox with us today.
No manual gearbox, which is a bit of a shame because I do prefer it, but it fits with the with the current ethos again.
Absolutely.
What I like about the M2 is you can't change the dampers. You just get what you're given, don't you? But you can change the engine, which I'll put in Sport Plus, and the steering, which I will put
in comfort.
In comfort, obviously,
that's the
because
best
way. that's why when gearbox is in its fastest mode.
Yep.
I don't like cars that ask you to do too many different things to get them set up in the way you want to. I just want to press, a couple of buttons, and then I'm done.
You've got an M memory button on here as well, haven't you?
I've got an M memory button which I can program, which is very good.
This car feels bang up to date. I mean, it's got a digital dash. Everything's lovely in here.
It is nice inside.
It's nice inside.
I guess still we can fit 4 people if we want to, and like you say, it feels like a thoroughly modern interpretation of M. Again, it's 60 miles an hour, under 2,000 RPM, and it's comfortable enough to do distances. And it feels a bit more muscle car than certainly the M3, and also a bit the CSL as well.
Yeah, because again, the CSL, you've really got to work that engine. This thing has got so much torque because of the turbos.
Yes, exactly.
Actually, at any rev range and in any gear, this thing will go. Whereas in the CSL, you've got to really work hard to get it to go. But that's part of the charm of that particular car.
Yeah. So do you think that M has changed over the years? Do you think our perception of M has changed over the years?
I've got a really weird theory on M. I think that M is no particular thing because you've got to look at the E30 and then look up to a current four-wheel drive M5 now.
Yeah.
They are both M cars. They are both really good at what they do. Yeah. And I think what M is about making the best of what's available for that particular car. That's my theory on an M car. You know, you can't say that the M5 is no good because it's not as light or as nimble as an E30.
Yeah.
Because it's so good in other ways. Nice. See? That to me is what M cars are about.
It's still got the balance, hasn't it? Yeah. It still is a front engine, rear wheel drive, limited slip differential. Yeah. And like you say, they all do different things in different ways.
Yeah. But they all do that.
Fundamentally,
it's got a lot of grip, this one. Nice. Lovely.
They will all ultimately do that.
Yeah.
And that's a really engaging, honest balance. And I suppose it's the 50-50 weight distribution thing. They've all got a bit more power than the rear tyres. Strictly have grip.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And literally all of them will do that. That's the beautiful thing. From the E30 up to the current four-wheel drive M5, every car in between that, if you were that way inclined and you could do it, they would all give you the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, if you're right, even the E30, even the CSL, even the 1M Coupe and the old M Coupe,
the ZM Coupe,
and the Z3 M Roadster and stuff like that, they all have that little bit of understeer on the way in that you can sort of trail brake through, and then
you can do that.
And then you can do that if you want to.
But then you can get back in all of them and drive home again.
Yeah.
That's a really cool. And where the M cars for me differ from the AMG and the Audi S, certainly the later AMG are better at it, but you couldn't. They didn't have that last 10% hooligan that all the M cars have always had.
Yeah, I think that's
so.
True.
You know, the AMGs were great at at being fast and in a straight line.
It's like hot rod kind of
hot
thing.
Roddy,
really? Yeah.
But up until the kind of the C63 came out, they didn't have that last dynamic edge that the M cars have got now. And this has got some shove, hasn't it? Wow. They're brilliant.
Yeah, having thought more about it, they say that it's just as it goes light over there, it just goes. I can stick the back up below.
Well. Not only can I drift, I can jump. Nice. Look at that. Wow.
I remember in 2007, maybe, getting in the M3 that came out then, and people going, "It's a bit disappointing, isn't it? It's not quite." It's not quite what the old one was, and people say it's not quite what the one before it was, and so they've had little peaks and troughs, and that M3 competition, which you've got.
I've got it. I've got it.
I think it's brilliant. I think it's absolutely fantastic.
I love it.
So, all right, I'm comfortable. Actually, it's been a really useful exercise to me to go all of these and then go, actually, an M car is still an M. An M car now is
what it has always been.
Different. Yeah, I mean different in how it goes about it and the numbers and the so on and so forth. But fundamentally, they do a really lovely thing. They all do a really nice thing.
And they're still working with what they've got, because at the moment BMW don't have a high revving naturally aspirated engine they can put in this car. So what they've done is they've made the best of this current generation turbocharged car. Yeah. And it works, it suits this car perfectly.
Yeah, and they still kept 6 cylinders as well. Which
exactly,
is
still 6 cylinders.
So what elements of this would you, if you were creating your ideal M car, what elements of this would you put in it?
If I had to go with an auto as such, I'd have this gearbox over the SMG gearbox in the CSL. If I couldn't have a manual, I'd have that. I love the speed of this thing. Yeah. So although that CSL is fast enough,
it's fast enough for me.
It can always be faster. Nice.
I'm not sure how much else I'd have.
No.
Exactly. I mean, I like how this steers for a new car. I like how the engine is for a new car. I like how light it is for a new car. But by the standards of the other two,
I think I'd say I think very little. I think I'd want a better gearbox in the CSL, and this gearbox would be absolutely fine in it. Yeah. And maybe a bit more torque. The outright speed isn't it?
Yeah, that's
maybe
fair.
A bit more torque. I'd have the torque specifically from this. Yeah. Stick it in the CSL.
And if it could sound like the CSL on the way through.
I'd keep CSL sound. Yeah. I'd keep CSL. Yeah. So I'd borrow the torque from this. I'd borrow the gearbox, and I'd put it in the CSL. What a car. Come on, BMW.
Yeah, I mean, I take the weight of the E30 and I put that in the CSL. And it's funny, isn't it? Everything migrates towards the CSL, which suggests to me, if you were going to name the greatest M car of all time, what are we going to agree? What do you think it is?
Well, I think
the closest to it.
The closest to it is probably the CSL, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, obviously the M4 GTS is an amazing car.
I think it's brilliant. I really like it.
It's so fast, and it has got that element of speed that we spoke about in this. But in terms of the purity of the car, the CSL to me is
Yeah, is it?
Absolutely epic.
Yeah. So there you have it. One conclusion of a fashion. No M car is absolutely perfect, but some are better and more perfect than others.
Yeah.
And if you were to pick the best BMW M car ever made, it's the M4G. No, it is the M3. It is the M3 CSL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the M3
But
GTS
the
E90 is very good as well.
Oh yeah.